Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again I'm coming to you with another range report. And today's range report has been on a very requested gun for me to shoot, and this is the Springfield Armory Hellcat. This is the last of the sub-micro compact 9mm pistols here on the market that kind of took the world by storm when Sig came out with the P365. All these guns are based around a high capacity magazine that is extremely small. So this gun's main competitors, of course, are the Sig P365, the Smith & Wesson M&P Shield Plus, the Taurus GX4, and I believe that's it. So this is the Hellcat and the last of the major competitors in this class of pistol for me to shoot. This pistol is on loan to the channel from my good friend Kenneth, somebody new that has not lent me any firearms in the past, and I am very appreciative for him letting me borrow this. We went to the range together and I got to shoot it, and he even provided the ammo. So once again, thank you, Kenneth. It means the world to me, and my subscribers thank you a lot. So what are my initial impressions before my first shots shooting this thing? Well, first of all, I actually think it's a relatively attractive pistol. Springfield Armory for me is one of these companies that I fully admit I may have a little bit of bias against. Number one, you guys have all heard my rants about their past support for gun control in Illinois, and I won't go into that right now, and I know a lot of the Springfield Armory fans out there will tell me I'm completely wrong and I need to let it go. Well, I always go by the adage of fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. So I have a little bit of bias from that perspective. I also have never been a huge fan on the aesthetics and the design of the Springfields. Not that they are bad guns. I have reviewed them in the past and said they are well built and function really nice. But I just seem to gravitate towards some of their competitors like Glock and Smith & Wesson a little bit more. For whatever reason, I just seem to like those guns and shoot those guns a little bit better. So I'm getting all of my biases out of the way, and you guys can decide if that affects my end impressions and final thoughts on this firearm. But it is a very attractive firearm. I like a lot of the features here. It does have a manual safety, or this particular version has a manual safety. The slide is milled out for an optic. I know a lot of people are going to like that. I don't know if on a gun this size I would really care to have that optic, but I know a lot of people do. I like the fact we have some night sights. The texture on this frame is kind of gritty sandpaper. It might not be the type of texture that I would want on a standard range gun, but I think for an ultra concealed carry gun, it's going to be very nice, give you a lot of grippy surface, especially if you are in a high stress situation where your hands might be sweating a little bit. Something about the gun that I did not like is the cocking serrations. Now this gun has cocking serrations on the front and the back, and there's lots of them, and you think that is going to give you a great surface. See if I can get this in focus here. There we go. That is going to give you a great surface to rack the slide with. I actually found that these cocking serrations are not very deep and not very aggressive. In fact, the first time I racked the slide, my hand actually slipped off of them. So that's kind of a detriment to it. When I dry fire the pistol, I think it has a pretty average trigger. The take-up is a little bit creepy, but it's not gritty, and the reset is just a little bit long. And I'll show that a little bit after I shoot the gun. But with all of that said, let's get to my first shots and my initial impressions. This is going to be 13 rounds. Yes, 13 rounds in this magazine at 7 yards. Let's see how I do. right, so not too bad. I'm shooting this thing to the left, and I think it's for two reasons. Number one, this is a very, very small grip, and I have to kind of wrap my hands around this. I've talked about this in past range reports. I have kind of bigger hands, and my finger kind of wants to wrap around the gun a little bit more, and I probably put a little bit too much finger in the trigger guard, but if I don't do that, my hand is kind of crimped up. I typically shoot the gun to the left when I do that. This gun also has a unique sighting system in that the back notch is round. Let me see if I can get this in view here. There it is. So it is round and not square. I kind of prefer the square notch. I feel like I can center that dot in the front a little bit better, and that also might be why I'm shooting it a little bit to the left. The recoil on this gun is pretty stout. Not unmanageable, but I think compared to all of its competitors that I have shot, it's more snappy. I do notice that the recoil spring in this is a little bit more sprung than some of those other guns as well. That might be for reliability, and which, by the way, this gun ran very reliably and had a very strong ejection, so I do like that about this gun a lot. But I personally felt it was a little bit snappy, and all these micro subcompact 9s are all going to be snappy because they are so small and so light. The only other thing that I did notice about this gun is that if the slide is closed and you have a loaded magazine all the way to 13, or in the case of the other magazine, 11, that it is really hard to insert that full magazine. You're going to have to pull that slide back, or most people will, insert the magazine and then close the slide. If you do try to put the magazine in on a closed slide, you are probably going to have to slam that base plate in a little bit because this spring is under a lot of pressure, and these magazines are a little bit difficult to load. Not crazy hard, but for some people you might need a mag loader. So that was my first shot. So now, as always, I'm going to put the target out a little bit further. In this case, it's going to be 12 yards. I'm a little bit used to the gun now. I'm going to try to go for accuracy. Now, these guns are not designed for accuracy. You get a very short sight radius here, but we're going to see how it does. And of course, remember guys, I am not an expert shot. I am not a trick shot. I'm not a professional shooter. I'm just an average gun guy. So for me, let's see how this accuracy works out. Well, at 12 yards, at least I was on paper. Everything was there on the target. It wasn't the tightest group that I was hoping for, but I was on paper, and I think for a defensive handgun, this thing would be just fine. It's pretty accurate considering how short that sight radius is. I still think that I'm shooting it to the left just because the grip is so small. But this gun is marketed to people that want to conceal carry, people that want to maybe pocket carry or purse carry. And that's why I'm going to have my wife, Becky, give this a shot, because she would be one of the main demographics that this gun is marketed to. Female shooters that are looking for something that are really small, compact, and something, as I said, you can easily put and conceal in one of those concealed carry purses. So let's see what she thinks. So after talking with her after she shot, she said that she didn't think the recoil was that bad. But I noticed when she was shooting, and by the way, I was the one filming when she was shooting. She always films when I shoot. I noticed that she was having to readjust her grip more than normal. I think it was a little bit more snappy than what she realized, and I think she needs to go back and take a look at that footage. But she said that she liked it, so I'm going to go with it. She did say, though, that it did hurt her hands a little bit. She thought the grip, too, was a little bit too small. And she has nails. I know a lot of women like to have their nails all pretty and pink. And for her, because the grip was so small, they're wrapped around a little bit too much and they kind of dig into her hands. So she said she would probably like this as a concealed carry pistol, but probably not as a regular range gun. And of course, that's not what this gun is designed for. This is a concealed carry gun that is supposed to be well built and accurate. Well, because it's designed to be a concealed carry gun, I'm going to try to use it in a defensive situation where I'm going to try to do a quicker magazine change. I'm going to load both of these magazines up to 7 rounds. I'm going to try to dump the gun as fast as I can with a single magazine change and see how quick and easy I can get the magazine out and the new one inserted and the gun back in action. I've had problems in the past with some of these very small guns when it comes to the magazine release, maybe having to turn my hand a little bit, or as the magazine is released, getting caught in the palm of my hand because of the size and the shape of my hand. But let's see how this gun performs. So I have to say, the mag change is really easy. These magazines fall out of this gun just like I would want. They just pop out of this thing, they fly out of there, and they're easily removable. You get a little bit of play in there, which is what I would hope for. As I said, you don't want these things getting stuck, especially if you drop it in the sand or the mud or any of that. These magazines just pop out of here. Now I have to say, the capacity of these is really impressive. On this particular one, it's 13 rounds. On this one, it is 11. And they're about the same size. In fact, really, the 13 round capacity one is only a little bit bigger. At first, I thought maybe they include a 13 and a 10 round magazine for the banned states, but then I realized it's an 11 round magazine. So I'm not really sure why they just wouldn't supply both 13 round magazines, especially when the dimensions are exactly the same. Well, maybe almost the same. I would say it's only going to be a millimeter or two. And yeah, I went ahead there and used the metric system. So, what are my final thoughts on the Springfield Hellcat? Well, I have to say, I am pretty impressed with this thing, but I'm impressed with all of these subcompact Micro 9s. I think all of these companies really did a fantastic job in taking the 9mm pistol and about putting it in the smallest package you possibly can and still making this thing a functional firearm. I don't think you can really go any smaller and still have the gun be safe. This gun was exceptionally reliable. It's probably pretty accurate. I'm the bad shot, not the gun, so I'm sure with a little bit of training, this thing would be on target with tight groups all the time, and I'm sure people that are much better shots than I am would have a great time with this as well. I think for its intended use, it's great. It's super small, very compact, well built, and if you're looking for one of these ultra tiny guns, this would be one to look at. I still think my favorite is the Smith & Wesson Shield Plus, and it's mainly because of the shape of the grip. It's a little bit wider and a little bit longer. Fits my hand a little bit better, but this one might be the grip for you. And if you're looking at one of these, I would say go test out all of them. All of them have merits, and the Hellcat definitely has many of them because this gun is feature packed. The only things about the gun as it sits that I'm not a big fan of would be the cocking serrations and the back U-notch for the sight. I might want to change that out for a square sight. But everything else about the gun was fantastic. Very impressed with it. Oh, I was going to show you the trigger pull on this pistol as well. As I said, I think the trigger on this is about average. It's not great. You're not going to ride home and go, oh my gosh, this is the greatest striker fire trigger of all time. But it is not bad. It is not mushy. It is very consistent. So let me show you here on camera what this looks like right here. So here is the take up of the triggers. Not too bad. You have a wall. And then I feel like I can pull it back just a little bit more, then the gun breaks. And then here is the reset. And for me, this is just a little bit too long. Right there. And you're pretty much at the wall, but you got a little bit more take up again. And kind of a medium long reset. It's not bad at all. I would say it's average. It is a pretty good trigger. And I'm sure on the aftermarket, there's other people out there making triggers for this that would make it even better if that's something that you would want to change out or modify on the gun. So, how would this rank on my little star system? Well, I gotta say, I think Springfield has a real winner on their hands. I just wonder if they're gonna win the lawsuit. If you don't know, there's a lawsuit about the magazine design. Sig has sued Springfield over the design of the magazine. So I'm not sure if this gun right now is in production. I'm going to assume it is, but I don't know what the state of that lawsuit is at the moment, or if Springfield's going to end up having to pay a royalty to Sig. I have no idea. I'm not up to date on that lawsuit. But on my star system, this is a solid 4 out of 5 stars. It doesn't exceed my expectations. I don't shoot this gun and go, wow, this thing is the greatest of all sub-micro compact guns. But it does what it says. It is high quality. It's going to be accurate, especially if you practice with it. And it ran reliably for me. So 4 out of 5 stars. It is a solid choice if you're looking for this class of firearm. So, do you guys own a Springfield Hellcat? What do you guys think? And how does it compare to the other super small 9mm guns that are on the market now? I would love to know your thoughts and opinions. And now that I've shot pretty much kind of the big 4, I still think the Smith & Wesson M&P Shield is my favorite, but this one might be in second place. So there you go. My review, Springfield Armory Hellcat, chambered in 9mm, with a large capacity magazine and a very small gun. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. And did my bias against Springfield Armory come out in this review? I'd love to know your opinions. So as always, thanks for watching.